Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today Ubisoft has finally revealed the new season of Rainbow Six Siege, and it has to be one of the biggest game-changing updates that we have seen in a very long time. And so to start things off, the new offensive operator that's being added on in is named Zero, aka Sam Fisher, and his gadget is essentially Valkyrie 2.0, but for the offensive team. The way that it works is that you can launch this seemingly anywhere. You can put it on the ceiling, the wall, or the floor itself, but the twist to it is that this camera has the ability, if possible, to burrow through said surface, and this includes reinforced walls. And so this is going to allow offense to get cameras into positions that normally would not be possible before. Instead of having to drone on in to identify where defense is hunkered down, you can place this through the reinforcement, quickly peer through the camera, and get that information for your team. Now, obviously, it does make a lot of noise while it's going through this process, and so any defender that's in the vicinity is going to be able to identify where it is and take it out pretty quickly. But if you're sneaky about it and you have a couple of spots that may not be as obvious, this could be an invaluable way for you and your team to be able to gather that kind of information and hopefully win the round. The cherry on top, though, is that it can also shock once, much like a Twitch drone. It doesn't recharge, so you can only do it that single time, but you can use this as an essential alternative to Thatcher, Kali, or Twitch to get through reinforcement or just to take care of some gadgets that you see through said camera. Now, as for his loadout, he is going to have access to a brand new primary weapon, which I know that many people have been waiting for, which is the CS3000K. This thing is a monster. It does 45 damage up close. It has an RPM of 850, which is pretty high, and it also has reasonable recoil. I was shredding through people on the early build with this thing. I have a suspicion that many people are going to play him specifically, not only because he has a very unique gadget, but also because of this primary. The downside of it, though, is that it only does have 25 rounds to work with, and so you need to be semi-accurate. You're not going to have as much of a pool to be able to take out multiple targets back to back. It isn't anything that's insurmountable, but it is something that you have to consider while you're using it. Now, that is not the only reason why this is going to be one of the biggest game-changing seasons that we've seen in a long time for Rainbow Six Siege, because they are completely redoing the optic attachment system in this game. Not only are they introducing brand new optics that we've never seen before, but they're also balancing the operators around these new attachments. And so first of all, we now have your standard one-time optics, like your red dot and stuff like that, which we're all accustomed to. They've now introduced the brand new 1.5 times attachments, 2 times, 2.5, which is your standard ACOG, which we're all used to, and then finally a 3 times optic for select weapons. Now, the reason why I said earlier that select operators are now going to be balanced around these new attachments is that some characters that you would expect would have a certain option is no longer going to be available. For example, defense no longer has access to an ACOG. No character in this game now has that available at all. The highest it goes up to is 2 times, and that only goes to, I think, for maybe 3 characters. The one that come to mind in particular is Rook. Now, you're maybe asking, well, does Doc have it? No, he only has a 1.5 optic. I imagine the reason why Ubisoft did this is that he is the preferred operator for spawn peeking, and having a higher optic is obviously going to be advantageous. He can heal himself, he's a meaty target, so he can absorb a lot of damage, and he also before had that long range precision. He's still going to be able to see further than some of the other characters in the game because of that 1.5 times optic, but it's no longer going to be such a large advantage. And so I don't think that this is obviously going to eliminate spawn peeking entirely. People might adopt or move on over to Rook, for example. This is a way that clearly Ubisoft is trying to balance out the meta of Rainbow Six Siege. Another really good example of this is with the MPX. Valkyrie is one of the stronger operators in the game, and so she's not really seeing any changes here, but with Warden, who struggles a little bit, he's now going to have access to a 1.5 optic, which is pretty amazing for that weapon considering that it has laser beam-like accuracy. And so having that slight magnification will hopefully give him the boost that he needs to be a little bit more competitive. This kind of design is now throughout every single one of the operators in the game. We're going to have to go in and figure out what optic works for which character and what is going to suit your playstyle. Overall, though, it's for this very reason why I think this is going to be one of the biggest meta-changing seasons that we have seen in quite some time. Basically, every operator is now going to play slightly different and going to be stronger or weaker depending on what attachments they have available, and I think it's really going to be shaking up the game, hopefully for the better. Another great change that is coming is that defense will no longer have 2 reinforcements per character, but you will now have a pool of 10 reinforcements for your entire team. What this means for CanCan players who have a difficult time at the start to do everything that they need, reinforce, place their gadget all over, you don't have to worry about reinforcing anymore as long as your team picks up the slack a little bit. If you play as Rook, you don't have a lot of things to do at the start of the round, and so you could quite literally place all 10 reinforcements by yourself if your team was lazy enough to only designate it to one character. This is going to be a great quality of life improvement. The one concern I have is that for those players that may not reinforce all that often because they just don't want to bother, this might be the thing that pushes them over the edge, and now they never reinforce because they can just let their teammates do it. It is going to be something that might require a bit of growing pains, and hopefully people aren't going to get too lazy with this, but I think in general, especially if you're like in a 4v5 situation, you're now going to have those 10 reinforcements at all times, which won't put you at such a big disadvantage, at least in those circumstances. Offense is also going to be getting some improvements in the form of a brand new secondary hard breaching gadget. The way it works is that you place this on a wall, it goes through a short animation, and the end result is a reasonably sized hole. It isn't massive, but it is something that you can actually vault through if need be to get onto the objective. This is just, I think, Ubisoft's attempt at trying to give offense a bit more utility where you're not having to rely on hard breachers as much. You don't need to bring a Ace and a Hibana. You could bring one of them and then an alternative in those select situations, or in some maps potentially, you don't even need a hard breacher. You can just simply bring this secondary gadget and that might be enough. It's difficult to say how useful this is going to be in the long run, but I'm assuming that Ubisoft is just trying to give offense a little bit more utility to work around the ridiculous amount of defenses that they have to get through. Ping 2.0 is also something that we're getting with this season. The way it works is that every time you ping a gadget now, instead of just putting a marker in the vicinity, it will ping its exact location for your entire team and actually relay and let them know exactly what that gadget is. And so if you're someone who doesn't use a microphone, or if you just want to be very precise in your callouts, this is going to make your job a lot easier. That frost mat that could have taken out one of your teammates, now everyone on your team knows exactly where it is. Same with CanCan traps or Ella, anything is going to be pingable, and it's going to be incredibly invaluable as long as you use it properly. Another fantastic addition that we're getting with this season is the map ban phase for ranked and unranked. If you are someone who despises playing on Outback, for example, you and your team no longer have to play on that map. At the beginning of a match, it will give you 3 maps to choose from, and then you're going to be able to decide which one you want to play. Obviously, the other team is going to be able to give their input, but if the community decides that they just never want to play on like Outback or Chalet, because Chalet isn't really all that balanced, at least the old version, that is no longer going to be a problem. This might reduce the amounts of variety that we see in Rainbow Six Siege, but hopefully for those players that are looking for a more competitive experience are going to get it with this new system. Now, speaking of Chalet, it is getting a rework, which you hopefully saw throughout today's video, and it is fairly substantial. You're going to notice similar themes. There is kitchen, there is the upstairs master bedroom, but the layout itself is now completely different. The stairs have been changed, they've been moved all over the place. There is now a staircase in the trophy room itself. There is no longer the balcony outside of the master bedroom, and every single one of the lines of sight has been adjusted, and by and large, at least with the short time I played on it, it seemed like it was a lot lot more balanced and there was a lot more ways of approaching these kinds of objectives. Now, I don't want to go out on a limb and say that all of a sudden this is going to be one of the most competitive maps in Siege now, because I just haven't put enough time into it yet, but a lot of the issues that I had with it originally don't seem to be present anymore. Only time will tell. It may have other problems after we put tens upon tens of hours into it, but I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy this new version. The final big change that is coming with this season is that Thatcher is going to be getting a pretty big nerf. He is no longer going to be able to outright take out gadgets with his EMP nade anymore. It's only going to disable them for a short duration. And so that mute jammer on the opposite side of a wall, it's only going to be inactive for a period of time. You're going to have to be coordinating with your hard breacher if you want to get through those walls. You're not going to be able to just throw that at the beginning, take them out, and then move on over to the other side of the map. You are going to have that coordination. I think the reason why Ubisoft did this is that Thatcher is one of the stronger operators in the game right now because of his utility. They want to bring him down a little bit. And with the addition of Zero, the fact that he can now take out gadgets if he's smart enough about it, this will give us a few more ways of getting through these walls without having to rely on Thatcher's utility. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I am incredibly excited for the start of this season because I truly believe that this is going to be one of the biggest meta-shifting seasons that we have seen in quite some time. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been waiting for some changes. Rainbow Six Siege has felt a bit stale, and I think this is finally going to be something that shakes things up. Let me know what you guys thought about all of these new additions. Are you looking forward to the new attachments? Why or why not? Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. But yeah, guys, until next time, have a good one and take it easy.